Hey guys, Joe East here again. Hey, let's talk about the Jupiter-Saturn Conjunct coming up on December 21st of this month of 2020. There's a bunch of astrologers out there that's done a lot of good work on this. I've actually hired astrologers to understand some of this stuff that I wasn't expert in. But what I bring to the table is a deep understanding of history and technology. I'm a hardcore engineer type, so I can bring those things to the table, history and the technology, computer science, stuff like that, because you'll figure out the age of Aquarius will be based a lot in technology and local networks. So I'll show you what I've learned here and what I can bring to the table in addition to what the astrologers out there already have said. So let me get in a good spot here so you guys can see my whiteboard also. So December 21st, 2020. What makes it important? Okay, historically, the Jupiter-Saturn conjunct always becomes a world event within about a year to a year and a half after the event, or sometimes pretty much immediately at the event, occasionally a few weeks before the event. Historically, they're the two biggest planets in a solar system, and as above, so below, as below, so above. Kind of think of it that way. For those of you who are into the esoteric stuff. So historically, we're coming up on 2020 here. Let's talk briefly about historically what has happened in the major events around the previous conjuncts and why the one that's coming up now is very, very different and going to be impactful so much more than the other ones. 1940. And if I'm not mistaken, most of these conjuncts, with the exception of around 1980, have all been in Earth signs. And my understanding, I actually got to go check the calendars to verify this, but most of the conjuncts since 1800 have been in Earth signs. So 1940, what happened around that time? That was World War II. Was pretty much launched around 1939, and the hard fighting started about 1941 from the U.S. perspective. I think the British started earlier, and Hitler invaded Poland in 1939. So around that time, there was some major stuff going on with World War II, and President Franklin Roosevelt, who was reelected around that year, died in office. Let's go forth to 1960. What was going on at that time? Everybody knows the John Kennedy assassination was one of the biggest events in the 20th century, which happened, I'm not quite sure if it was 6 months or a year after the conjunct, but it was like really close to the conjunct as far as timing. It was approximately, I think it was in 61 was the conjunct. But he, essentially the world changed. Everybody remembers it that's still alive today, that can remember that time. They would be probably in their 70s right now, people who actually remember that time, 70s or 80s, and what was going on before and after. And everybody understands before and after was completely different worlds. It launched the 1960s and 70s themes. It was in an Earth sign, so you didn't get that much technology as you seeing after the 1980, but you're seeing people get involved closer to the earth and dirt and mud and hippies, and the styles were more earthbound, and the drugs they took to get spirituality were more earthbound. Drugs is more of an earthy type of way to get spiritual, which is probably not efficient, should we say. So the 1960, the major event, Kennedy assassination, and it was the ignition for the so-called 1960s times. What happened around 1980? Let me remind you guys that communism is a world bureaucratic evil empire sort of system that controls people's hearts and mind. Get your hands on people and control them. Earth. Remember all these, and then I said previously, since the 1800s, the Earth, trying to pull you down to Earth. Communism was quite powerful in 1980. Everybody thinks it was declining at about 1978, 79. But air signs don't like totalitarianism and bureaucracy. So in 1980, what happened around that time? Well, only a few years later, communism was gone. 1989 to 1991, communism was crumbling. After 91, communism was fucking gone. All the world leaders at the time were freedom guys trying to break the shackles of communism. If you remember this time, the three world leaders were Ronald Reagan, Pope John Paul II, and Margaret Thatcher. And to some extent, some of the other leaders. But at the time, and of course, Gorbachev was from the communist end of things. And he got pulled into the Western democracies because his career was going to be over if he stayed in the Soviet Union area until they reorganized themselves. So 1980, the themes shifted because that was the first air sign conjunct of Jupiter and Saturn in a few hundred years, I guess over 100 years. So what was the theme? Just remember some of the themes around 1980. They're going to come back. Remember Steve Jobs launched Apple Computer around that time, or it became a big thing. I think 1984 was the launch of the Macintosh, the whiz-bang stuff thing that nobody had ever seen before on a device. Yeah, on a machine. And over the years, up until the developments came on the computers, up until about 2007, 2009, whatever that time period was, where all this stuff was just miniaturized into a phone, an iPhone. But anyway, that's when the Apple computers got launched, and many software developers developed several systems like Windows on the IBM compatible computers. And then everything pretty much developed big time, accelerated. A bunch of companies made a lot of money up until about 2000. And that's when the development kind of stopped, because most of your software, the major software, was developed between 1980 and about 2000. So after 2000, it was more of a case of just putting stuff into miniaturization. But the networks were all developed, the internet was all developed, the software for the basic and some of the advanced algorithms was already developed by 2000. And then after 2000, things began to slow down. Microsoft got hit with a major lawsuit at the end of the Clinton administration. And then the big decline of the software companies started about 2000, which was, Microsoft Windows. Apple kind of became awesome a little bit after this, up until about, the development of the iPhone. But even now, it's on its way down, 2020. So you can kind of see the trajectories where this ignites a certain theme, and then suddenly the next theme ignites something else. So during the 1980s, the music was more electronic, it was more air. Whereas in the 1960s, the music was earthy. You think Jimi Hendrix and his guitar, yeah, it was electrified, but it was very earthy. It was connected to rhythm, the lower ends of the beats and stuff. And then when you get to the air signs in 1980s, yeah, you had some beat, some rhythm, but it was all electronic. It was going toward air. You got a lot of electronic music developed in the 1980s, stuff you never heard before. Remember the Yamaha DX7 was one of the most biggest innovations around that time in music, stuff people never heard of. Eddie Van Halen's song Jump is kind of thematic, where you have a lot of keyboards into the hard rock stuff going toward air. and then a lot of the melodic hard rock like Joe Satriani, it's gone towards air, more melodic and higher than rhythm. So less rhythm, more air. But the little bit of rhythm that was developed was electronic rhythm, electronica. And then suddenly, that theme that developed. So let's bust up the governments, bust up the totalitarian regimes. Let's get toward electronic music. Let's develop software, computers, technology, blah, blah, blah. This was also a Libra. The air sign was Libra. And that's going to be the difference between what we're going through now, which is going to be in Aquarius. So Libra is a luxury type beauty sign where you saw a lot of innovations in electronic music, but it was toward a certain amount of beauty. So you remember, like in the 1970s, people dressed like shit, scruffy. I mean, they're ugly colors, bell-bottom shoes, just disgusting clothing from the 1960s to about the 1979. You look at the pictures of the people; they look insane, sick. They look retarded. They look like they belong in an insane asylum. The 1980s changed all of that. The styles became more beautiful. People wore more sport jackets, more turtlenecks, more pastels. You remember the pastel movement in the early 80s. There was a bit toward beauty. And toward the 1990s, it was still similar style, but more earth tones. It was kind of darker in the 1990s. But still the beauty was there in the sport jackets and turtlenecks. They weren't pastels, but they were more white and black, not so much brown, but just the black came really nice. But the nice kind of stuff, which is kind of Libra, the luxurious beauty sort of thing, but an air kind of beauty, not an earth beauty, more of an intellectual slash shining air sort of beauty. With Libra themes of the 1980s. Now in 2000, what's the big event? Most of us are old enough to remember 2000, or if you're too young to remember, you know it's a big deal. September 11th, the bombing of the World Trade Center and the bombing of the Pentagon, and the supposedly a jet plane fell down in Pennsylvania. So back in those days, people thought it was a terrorist attack from airplanes. Now we know that's no longer true. It was actually a bombing. So there was a lot of weird shit happening around the conjunction of about 2000, and the world changed. Also, air travel got really easy between 1980 and 1999. I remember you could get on an airplane, go through security. I would sometimes unknowingly carry a knife through airport security. And then suddenly I'd be past security. I was like, oh shit, I forgot my knife. I was supposed to put it in check-in. But nobody cared back then because air travel was easy. But after 2001, all these fucking security things, which looking back on it is fake, now you kind of go through a proctological examination going through airport security. More of an earthy thing. They want to get their fucking hands on you. They want to control you more. So that's between 2001 and now, the government has clamped down on personal liberty. Again, they want to get you stuck in the earth. They want to anchor your ass down. Earth, anchor. Get their fucking hands on you. That's going to be all gone around this conjunct now. Now, I'm going to also tell you some of the trouble that's going to happen before the good times happen, because Aquarius is going to cause some trouble with the current regime, because it will be destroyed. The entire structure of money and government will be destroyed in every country. And that's going to be the radical changes that's going to happen in 2020. That's going to be more effective than all these. It'll be close to what would happen in World War II, except it's going to be even worse, because World War II was an earth sort of thing, mass slaughter and people dying and, getting pushed back to the earth sort of thing, very earth death. But what's going to happen in this air sign is that governments will be attacked. The structure will be attacked, bureaucracy, because we're going towards air again. Remember, communism fell during this time, and Reagan and Thatcher and Pope John Paul II were all freedom. Like, let's get more free. Let's loosen things up. Let's decentralize. Let's deregulate. Similar things are going to happen when the Aquarius air sign conjunct here. Now, the difference between Libra and Aquarius, more or less, general theme is Aquarius, Libra was based on beauty. So you saw a lot of beautiful new arts like pastel colors and video, computer beauty sort of things, electronic beauty, the new music, but kind of an air beauty. Whereas this right here, instead of beauty, you're going to see networking air. So communications. Again, this was beauty. Some communications was there. Internet is communications. Computer beauty, like Steve Jobs was big on beauty of his Macintosh and his Apple stuff. This is going to be more networking, intellectual property, mathematics, nodes of power instead of top-down power or centralized power, be decentralized power. It's going to be more of a pirate kind of governments, a pirate kind of power. And this is an exaggeration, but just to give you some image in your head, who's going to have power? A pirate, a mafia. Local mafias and pirates will have power. Again, it's small networks of powerful people exercising local, nodal network power. Big governments are gone. United States of America is gone as far as the way we know it now. I mean, we might still call ourselves Americans, but we'll be probably more of a federation. If we survive as an empire, we'll probably be more of a federation where we'll be similar to the United States is in relation to England, or England in relationship to Australia, kind of a loose federation sort of thing. If we survive as an empire, then we might not even survive. Probably not. And I'll tell you why in these notes up here. So with this particular conjunction, why is it so powerful? Oh man, it's Pluto. Pluto has also been conjunct with Saturn and Jupiter for most of 2020. Very close. Check the stars for 2020. So Pluto has gone through Capricorn and turning everything upside down, revealing the underworld of all structures and systems. So since about 2009, 2010 was when Pluto entered Capricorn. That means that Pluto is shaking things up with regard to Capricorn, which is the symbol for establishments, including government, monetary system, everything. You remember the 2008 crash, and the election of Barack Obama was a shakeup of the system. The election of Donald Trump was the shakeup of the system. Election 2020 is a shakeup of the system. And hello, those of you who think things are over with now, you're crazy, you're insane. The system will be smashed. It's just getting started. The entire system will be smashed to pieces. And I'm going to tell you why later on in this little thing. So the effects were felt before the event. So you remember, this conjunction is coming up on December 21st, but we started feeling the effects of the system being smashed to pieces back in March with the lockdown or with the so-called virus thing. So we started feeling the effects in 2020, the chaos. We know things are shaking up. We know things are crashing and burning. You just know this instinctively, but you're not quite sure what's crashing and burning. This actually explains you exactly what's crashing and burning. Schools, crash and burn. Elections, crash and burn. We just, as the date of us speaking right now, the Supreme Court is going to be crashing and burning. One of the major structures of the 20th century that instituted several changes over the years, that's crashing and burning, the Supreme Court. Powerful presidencies, leaders, crashing and burning. And it's more the age of the pirate. So that's why Donald Trump came to power, because he's more of a pirate type of person. He's coming in with a wrecking ball and changing things and reorganizing the whole damn world according to strong local pirates. Again, a symbol. Pluto conjunct magnifying. So there's going to be probably 5 to 10 times the strength of the other conjunctions historically. 2020, and is mainly because Pluto is also conjunct Saturn and Jupiter. Underworld, Hades, hell, symbols. Launching the age of Aquarius. So the conjunct is in Aquarius. So we're finally launching into probably the age of Aquarius, which, again, the theme is going to be air, technology with regard to communications, intellectual property, and mathematics. That's Aquarius. Nodes, networks, local networks of power instead of top-down power. Top-down power is more earth, whereas air is more local power. Again, fall of communism, Ronald Reagan, Margaret Thatcher. Let's get free here, right? Freedom. Deregulation. Now, historically, I think I mentioned that for the last few hundred years, we've been in Earth signs conjunct with Jupiter-Saturn since about 1800s. Since about 1800, which was the launch of the Industrial Revolution, and the themes for since 1800 has been oil, natural earth resources, the gold rush, the California gold rush of the 1840s, I think it was. Nuclear power, again, it's heavy earth sort of device, and world wars based on earth. They were savage and fought mostly in the mud. Vietnam, mud. Swamps. World War I, the mud, the trenches. World War II. Nothing glorious about it. Nothing, oh man, these glorious soldiers. There was some of that, but most of it was squalid and mass industrialized slaughter of people. Earth. Returning people to the earth. Yeah, the wars are brutal in the age of earth. Winter solstice also magnifies it. So it's happening on December 21st, which is the winter solstice. So the magnification factors is Pluto and winter solstice. All right, what's the practical applications? We're about 20 minutes or so into this. So how does that affect you, nitty gritty, personally, day to day, business? What's going to happen to your brain? What's going to happen to your finances, your family, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? That's in black right here. Okay, banking. The earth signs, banking was based mostly on the gold standard. Up until about the 1970s, but then the currencies were based on paper after that, which is kind of a coming off of the gold standard. Now, that was getting close to 1980, again, air, whenever we went off the gold standard. It was about 1971, I think it was, 74, I don't remember. But you can kind of feel the themes even around that time. But what does the earth sign with the banking system based on central banks do to society and government? Which you need to understand very carefully. Again, I know history very well, is that governments structure themselves around the financial systems, period. Okay? So bureaucracy, centralization is all based on the central banks. Now, banking based on the gold standard and paper earth, you get a centralized government and government control based on bureaucracy. Big O centralized government, top-down sort of shit. And that's kind of the theme of the earth theme, government systems, bureaucratic systems, money systems is, gold is an earthy, heavy metal. The money system is based on control of heavy metals, gold, oil. Right now, pretty much the currency of the USA is based on oil, the petrodollar, most people call it. Or back in the old days, the gold standard, paper. But now, with the dawn of the computer age, again, 1980 launched the air age, and now we're headed into Aquarius, another air sign. So what is going on now that started about 2008, 2010, that wrecked the entire government system and financial system that's still going on now? Cryptocurrencies. Absolute privacy of economics. That is the revolution that's destroying the system right now. There's no way for the government to control things with cryptocurrency. I'm going to repeat to you this one more time. Get it through your head. The existence of cryptocurrency will destroy the current government structures. Why? Because the government structures is based on bureaucracy, central banks. And so if the central banks control the money supply, that means they can track all your economic activity and therefore control you, because control is based on the monitoring of economic activity. And so if they know what you're doing, they know what you're up to, they can control you. They can look ahead and see how you're planning. They can check all the corporation records and see how they're spending their money and know what they're doing, exactly what they're doing. Because SEC requirements is to report your accountant stuff, your SEC filings, your taxes are filed with the central government, i.e., so the central banks know what you're doing. So they know the flow of all your paper money or your gold-backed money for the last few hundred years. They control that. Guess what? That's all going away. They can't collect taxes. Governments will not be able to collect taxes. Governments will not be able to know what you're doing with cryptocurrency. This is absolute privacy of economics. So this changes the whole world. So the government's going to be crashing. Boom. The USA is gone because the empire is based on the dollar. Gone. Anything based on dollar is gone. Central banks, gone. We don't need banks anymore. If we don't need banks, guess what? We don't have empire governments. We don't have centralized governments. Boom, it's all gone. It's not going to survive. The minute if any more of a significant activity of the government, of the economics goes into cryptocurrency, government, poof, wiped off the face of the earth. Now, you guys think I'm crazy by saying this, but I am not joking. I know how this stuff works. There's no way the government can survive the crash of the dollar in the currency systems when crypto is institutionalized or used widely. They can't control you. So if the governments can't do centralized control with cryptocurrency, that's going to launch the sovereignty of individuals or small groups. So let's say the government spends a few $1 trillion a year. A lot of it's on, say, defense. Let's say, I don't know, $500 million or so on defense. Well, what if you have $500 million in crypto? Well, nobody's going to know about it, number one. Number two, well, you can launch your own goddamn government or defense agency or whatever you wanted if you had $500 billion in crypto. Or groups of people who have portions of these crypto will form coalitions, right? Empowering groups, nodes, coalitions, and individuals. So there's going to be more sovereignty of the individual. Remember when communism fell in 1989 to 91? Again, the bureaucracy couldn't handle that air sign stuff. Ronald Reagan, deregulation. Let's break up the government regulations. So the government's going to crash. There will be no more United States of America as we know it, or British Commonwealth as you guys know it, or City of London, or Federal Reserve, or central banks. That's all gone. In fact, they're almost gone now. They lost their control. That's what we're seeing now, the crumbling of centralized power. Because they can't control the money, and they can't monitor the transactions so they can predict what their enemies are doing, right? So crypto power will empower pirates and local groups. Again, pirate is just a symbol for, a boat on the open seas with a bunch of money, and they take what they want because they got guns and they run. Okay, it's a symbol of a localized, powerful people that's hard to touch them. That's what this cryptocurrency is going to do. And local mafias. So you remember the mafias in Italy? There's going to be mafias. When I say mafia, I don't mean necessarily the dark side, but essentially you're going to have local gangs or local control of government, local enforcement, if there's any enforcement needed at all. If there's any enforcement needed, these nodes are going to congregate around slight like a mafia sort of thing, because everything's going to be private. And what's the word for mafia that they use all the time? Omerta. Don't talk about it. Absolute privacy of money is going to produce mafias, pirates. Again, I don't mean this to be completely negative. I'm just kind of giving you a symbol to think about. Oh, I'm going to see more of that because the centralized government's going to be blasted to shit. So you won't be able to know what wealth people have. The governments are going to crash. They are crashing now because they won't be able to know what sort of wealth you have. There won't be filing of taxes because once you're in crypto, you're completely private. So you don't have to tell anybody shit about what kind of money you got. So the IRS is gone. Boom, no more IRS. Boom, no more taxes. At least not centralized government agencies collecting taxes. They're going to be completely impossible with crypto. Again, it's impossible with crypto. This is the secret that's going to blast the hell out of everything. So what wealth, if you're doing business with somebody, how are you going to know what sort of wealth they have? Well, it's going to be demonstrable assets. So they won't be able to look at your crypto because nobody's going to know what you got in crypto. But they can see what you have in, say, real estate. What did I write down here? Networks of cooperation, like, I know powerful people. That's my network. You ever heard the term, your network is your net worth? Intellectual property and tangible things that people can see, then you demonstrate your wealth. But if it's all in cryptocurrency, nobody will know what the hell kind of money you got, which is powerful. It's privacy, absolute privacy, which creates individual power and local network power. One warning to everybody, given this powerful information I'm giving you here, this is very powerful information. It's dangerous information. YouTube might take this off the map because it's very dangerous information I'm giving you here. I don't give a shit about YouTube. Go fuck yourself, YouTube. I don't care. But this will be available on BitChute Library and some few other platforms that are not idiots like YouTube is. I'll put it on YouTube, but yeah, if they take it off, I don't give a fuck. So this is so dangerous, the information I'm giving you here, because it's the way the government is structured. The old regime based on Earth is probably going to have a final stand, a final fight to the death to preserve their power. Okay? So me understanding technology, those of you who are into electrical engineering or physics is going to know exactly what I'm talking about. What's the only way to destroy crypto? If the state wants to strike back, if the current regime wants to strike back. An EMP blast. They're going to have to do an EMP blast to destroy all the computers in the world. Now that's insane. That's completely fucking insane. But they're probably going to try some shit like that if they're fucking stupid as we think they are. Let's hope they're not that fucking stupid. But they're probably the evil, wicked sons of bitch, psychopath, whatever, is going to try to do an EMP blast to destroy all the computers in the world, to kill crypto. That's probably what they're going to try to do. The downside to all this bullshit is only needs 1 to 10 computers to survive an EMP blast. Crypto system comes right back up. So yeah, they're probably going to try some dumb shit like that. And maybe local destruction of computers. Like they might say, oh, let's destroy the computers in the USA and, EMP blasts. Or let's destroy the computers in X country, Y, stupid shit they might try. Okay? So what you need to do now, you need to protect your data. And you need to put your data in a non-electrical format, a non-metallic format, where an EMP blast can't touch it. DVD, CD computer, plastic style technology. If you're a physicist or an engineer, you know what I'm talking about. Stuff that can't be affected by a magnetic field. Because anything that can be affected by a magnetic field, which is transistor type stuff, electrical circuits, can get whacked with an EMP blast. So try to protect your data with DVD, CD style technology if these bastards try to do dumb shit like this. So, what's going to crash and burn for the age of Aquarius here? the government going to crash and burn. I already just explained it to you how it's going to crash and burn, why it has to crash and burn. The dollar, explained it to you how the dollar is going to crash and burn. There's no fucking way it can survive cryptocurrency. Education, it's an institution. All institutions going to get hit. So education is going to be more localized, more apprentice style, more network, local based education instead of this national stuff and all, the state controlled, in the USA, the states control education or whatever. So that's going away. It's going to be more individualized, more subset focused on local groups instead of this national sort of thing. Bureaucracy is going away because why? Cryptocurrency brings privacy to all transactions, and that also is another effect is that anything can be made completely private. So the bureaucracy won't be able to get the information they need to control things. Bureaucracy is essentially a catalog, a file system of information to control things. That's what the modern centralized governments do. It's a bureaucracy. It's a bureau. It's a centralized bureaucracy. Again, the superior privatization of information and monetary assets makes the bureaucracy go away. You can't have a bureaucracy anymore during the age of Aquarius. Military based on these systems. So a big centralized military based on the petrodollar that's $800 billion financing F-14 jets and nuclear weapons and all this other crap. That's all going to get crashed and burned because nobody will be able to centralize that much money because the governments won't exist to get together and organize that much money in one pile. Yeah, a coalition of groups can do that. But it ain't going to be a worldwide system like it is now based on the dollar or based on the World Bank. Right now it's based on the dollar, where the USA essentially finances all the major military stuff, more or less, NATO or whatever. That won't be able to happen anymore. Why? The money won't be there. The monetary system won't be there. So the future is pirates and mafias. That's what the future is going to be. So there's a lot of exciting things coming down here for the age of Aquarius and this particular conjunct happening. Another warning is shit's going to be shaken up, and you can consult the professional. I'm not a professional astrologer, but I've paid some of these guys and for coursework and sometimes consultation to figure some of this stuff out. Things are going to be crazy until Pluto exits Capricorn. When Pluto exits Capricorn, that's when things will settle down into the new system. So I think it's going to be 2023, 2024 until things really settle down. But from now until that time, there's probably going to be chaos as the system crashes and burns. And we're going to try to build a new system. Yeah, those of us who know how to do it. But the old regime is probably going to fight pretty hard. Probably. They're stupid, right? We've seen the stupidity of 2020, right? The stupidity of the bureaucracy in handling a so-called, medical bullshit, of 2020. A bunch of fucking idiots. So stupid as they are in their Earth bureaucracy, and now we're going towards air, which is intellect, spirit. They have no concept of air, intellect, spirit. They're stupid. So those of us who connected to air, more or less the Gemini, if you got a lot of Gemini energy, Libra energy, and Aquarian energy in your chart, then you'll be more connected to air and be able to transition very well between what's going on now and the launch of the age of Aquarius sort of thing. So yes, take care for the blowback against the old Earth regimes trying to fight to keep their power. They won't be able to keep it, but they'll be stupid enough, as they did in 2020, to keep their power, keep their grip, their bureaucratic grip, control, anchor you down to earth, right? Materialism, atheism, All that shit is Earth. It's going away. It's going away big time. Let's see if I can have any other themes I need to tell you guys about that I've learned from studying this for a few months. Pull it all together. All right, I think those are the rough themes there going on. So you guys need to take care of yourselves, but it's exciting and at the same time dangerous. So if you like danger, this is going to be an awesome time. If you don't like danger, you need to batten down the hatches and protect yourself. It's very exciting. Change times. Those of you who love change like I do, we're not normal people. Those of us who love change are going to love this era. We're probably loving it already. Also pissing us off too, right? Because the Earth guys are pissing us off because they're trying to bring us back to Earth. Yeah, it's going to be a golden age. Lots of bullshit's going to be going on as the structures crash and burn. But you, with this knowledge, can look ahead as to what's going to happen and maybe make millions or billions of dollars by knowing what's coming up. So if you're an inventor, if you're into communications technologies, if you know how to form networks, if you're into jet travel, which is air, that sort of thing's probably going to be accelerated. Space travel, it's all air. That's going to be accelerated like crazy in this age of Aquarius. Space travel, jet travel, communications, electromagnetic waves, anything to do with the electromagnetic spectrum, that's air. Hey, we're on air now. You remember the old radio station stuff? So big time air, communications, the next levels of the internet. The network, internet means internetwork. So that's going to be completely transformed into something big, new and crazy in the next few years. So get in those businesses. It's going to be big time in the age of Aquarius. Make your money. You're an inventor, creative guy, and mathematics. Those of you, I'm actually a hardcore mathematician. If you're into mathematics, this is going to be the golden age. That's Aquarian. Frickin' Aquarian, baby. You guys ready? I am ready. Let's do this shit. Go out there, be safe, guys. And unless you're a pirate, like some of us are, and you don't care about safety, do that too, because I don't care about safety, honestly. Let's kick some ass out there, guys. Till next time, have a good one. Goodbye.